Good evening, Liz. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us which party you're from, please?
Okay, so I'm Liz Pole. I'm from the Labour Party and I'm a mum. My children are doing their GCSEs and their A-levels at the moment. We've, raised them in the constituency, and I run a business. I run a software business doing like business-to-business software to help businesses be able to manage their processes and their make more money, basically, by running more efficiently.
Brilliant. So what did you do before you came to politics?
The same as I do now. I'm a mum. I look after my children, and I still run my business. But I guess when the children were younger, I think they were, I was probably spending more time taking them to the beach and to their gymnastics club and just to the park, to the swings. And now they're teenagers. They're a little bit more self-sufficient, and I think it's quite good actually, because in the last 6 months I've been trying to keep them on their GCSEs and their A-level revision, and they're quite happy. I think that my attention has been redirected elsewhere, and I think it's probably quite good for them to have a bit of personal I'm a big believer in personal responsibility, which is part of the reason why I am involved in the community and involved in politics, because I think if you see something that you want to change, you've got to show that leadership.
Brilliant. So can you tell me 3 surprising or interesting facts about yourself, please?
Surprising and interesting. So I lived in America for 12 years. That is one of my things that I did.
Where?
We're in California.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I met my husband, and we started working together, and I moved to California for sort of quite a period during the 2000s, early 2000s. And that was great, sort of the beach and the mountains. And
I lived in Georgia for 2 years, the other coast.
Yeah, and I think it does give you, we do a lot of business internationally, so that is, it gives you a bit more of, more of a perspective, and gives you a lot kind of an understanding about what local businesses need in order to, trade. That's also one of the things.
What about the
the other two, second and third one? Oh, let me think. So I am trying to think. I like to go swimming in the sea in the summer, and in the winter sometimes as well. That's something that I try and do. Certainly in the summer I try and get down and do a little bit of swimming every day. And something else about myself, I am, what have I done? Let me think.
Take your time. There's church bells, you might not be able to be heard over anyway.
I'm trying to think of a third thing that's interesting and wonderful about myself.
I'm sure there are many.
Yeah, I can't think.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. We can move on. So what are your ties to the constituency?
Well, I've got family in the Axminster area. I've brought my children up there. I have been active for years in community groups, so sort of doing supporting the Parents Association in the gymnastics club, and now I'm part of the management of the Honiton Community Youth Building. I've been involved in the campaigns for the Fiverfest campaigns, for independent local shopping, and getting local traders to sort of participate in that, and then promoting it to public, like walking down the high street with a big sign. And I think, environmental campaigns. I've been very active in campaigning on the sewage overspill crisis with the rivers, and like the reasons for that, which are, where we're not my daughter's doing a GCSE geography at the moment, and she is in there you learn about disaster management, so all that flood management stuff is in there. The reason that you do spend money on flood management is because the economic and the environmental costs of not doing it are greater than the cost of doing those preventative measures, and so that's why it's not effective for this government to have taken £1 billion away from the flood prevention agency every year for 10 years, because that just pushes the costs onto the public basically, and onto the environment. And so there's like a whole range of, the same with the highways agency, the same with the planning agencies, the same with the environment agencies. And so taking that money away, which we don't get back in our pockets, and then not spending it on what any GCSE year 11 would think you should spend it on, is just quite a dereliction of the basic responsibility of a government, really. And the same thing with disaster management, with pandemic planning. We should have had those stockpiles of emergency supplies. I know people say, oh, nobody could have done any better, but they could have done, because we did have the supplies in 2010. They ran them down, and then we didn't have it, and then they've spent £12 billion on crony contracts. So those kind of things. And then also investment in renewable energy. If we'd had continued the investment in renewable energy that the Labour Party had, and David Cameron's government hadn't scrapped it in 2014, then we would have been energy self-sufficient by now, and we would have been better able to regulate our market. It would have been less at the mercy of these Russian imports and the price hikes, and that would have been more secure for our country. So I think so. Those are some of the things I campaigned on, and like the Labour wants to overhaul the entire planning framework, because we see it in every corner of this constituency, where you get these big master plans of lots of houses going in. The rationale for it is that you have to have it in order to get the investment in GP surgeries, investment in school places, the investment in road infrastructure, relief roads, and affordable housing for local people. But invariably all of that gets cut out and gets lost in the mist of time, and when it comes to it, you've just got like loads of more houses, creating a lot more runoff, taking away some of the enjoyment we have in our green spaces, and putting all that extra pressure on our infrastructure. We're not really getting the benefit back of what we're promised. So those developers that make £70,000 profit per house on 1,000 houses, that's £70 million. I think the community really, and the other thing is, like, if we use local, if it was local people who were who were putting in those developments, then that would be money that would stay in our economy locally. But that's going back to that Fiverfest. The money goes off elsewhere. And we don't see the benefit of it circulating in our own economy.
So what do you think the role of an MP entails?
Well, I think you are there to listen to your constituents, and to follow up on any issues, to represent the interests of your area. area in terms of getting infrastructure payments, investment in the area, making sure that we get our fair share, and standing up for businesses in the area, standing up for residents, and representing them when they've got like needs that aren't being met by the services that government provides. Or
and so why would you make a good MP?
I think I'm authentic. I'm like a person, just a member of the public myself. I have got, children in the constituency. We all use the healthcare, we all use the roads, where I'm a local person, and I think I've got this 20 years of experience of running a business. I think the country should be run like a business, basically, where you speculate to accumulate, you make an investment in the things where there's a good business case for a good return, that will help people with the cost of living, but will also ensure the long-term prosperity of the country, ensure our security as a country, where we want to see us become more self-sufficient in food, more self-sufficient in energy production, and I just think also just to make sure that we live by the principles of integrity and respect. So we just have more respect for the environment, we have more respect for the rule of law, we have more respect for the integrity and principles of honesty, fairness, and those kind of things. So I think that's
so what are your campaigning priorities?
So I think the cost of living is obviously the huge one. So we need to do things that are immediate to help people with the cost of living, but we also need to plan for the longer term. So with the Labour Party, we have a couple of immediate things. We want to take the VAT off the energy bills. That should help with people a lot. For pensioners, we want to extend the winter warmer payments. And then for working families, we've got a plan for a children's recovery plan. That's money that's already government money that's already set aside for pandemic recovery. We want to see the whole lot go into schools. We want breakfast clubs and after school clubs in every school, and we want that to be sort of free of charge for parents to be able to have that childcare. But the principle of it is to get the students into the right place where they can play, they can do drama, they can do sports, they can have all that enrichment, they can have small group tutoring to bring their skills up to where they should be, not only for their own personal development, but also because the think tanks in the education sector are saying that there's going to be a £430 billion black hole in the economy in the future if we don't get those skills up to scratch now. And we also want to see professional development. That's part of that costed plan, is to get professional development to teachers, keep them in the profession, attract more people into the profession, and embed mental health into every single school with a specialist. So that's something for the immediate plan. But in the longer run, we want to be investing in innovation, in future industries, in investing in skills, making sure that we get a lot of investment into startups, into small businesses. We've got 90% of businesses outside Exeter and Devon are micro businesses. That means they employ less than 10 people, and we want to make sure that they have the financing they need for growth, for innovation, and we want to support a lot of our small businesses by immediately raising the threshold for business rates relief to 25,000, so that will potentially bring up to like £5,700 worth of benefit to small businesses to keep them viable with all the costs going up. And one of the other things we want to do is with farming. The National Farmers Union has got a goal to increase the amount of food produced in Britain to 60% from the under 50% that we've got at the moment. And Labour wants to go beyond that. We want to go beyond 60%, and be making much more of our food here in Britain. So
I didn't realise it was that low. took me back slightly.
Yeah, so I think those are some of the things that we could do on the cost of living crisis, but also, as I've said earlier, the planning framework, the way that houses are delivered, doesn't support the infrastructure, the GP places, the school places, doesn't deliver the affordable housing. In this part of the country, we don't get our fair share of national infrastructure spending, and so that means that our productivity and our wages are lower here, and that's why people who live here and work here can't afford the rising prices of the housing. So we need policy to make sure that housing that's in the area is available for people who work here to be able to live in, because otherwise we've got we've got it just causes the breakdown in communities, and it means that intergenerationally, grandparents, if they can't live in the same place as their grandchildren, then who looks after the grandchildren, who looks after the grandparents? It just means everybody gets, more people end up being cared for by the state, and as the Labour Party, we actually want to have people live in their community. We want to be the party of family and community. We want to be the family of small business, because it will make sense, and the party of investment. So investing where there's a business case. We don't want to spend. We've got a pledge on fiscal responsibility. We don't want to spend day-to-day spending that we don't have with income coming in. But we do want to spend money on investing where we know that it's going to create the jobs, it's going to create the value for money and the return on investment that's going to make up Britain, a world leader in some of the future industries. We're really well placed here in the constituency for that, because certainly in terms of green, renewable energy investment, all the tidal and the wind, and this is the place for it, and that will create a lot of prosperity in the region, but also just in terms of insulating. There's 19 million houses in the UK that haven't been insulated. We're at the bottom of the league table in Europe. That's just money that's going out of people's roofs, and that's another thing for cost of living action, where we can put that will be just money that I think it's like £400 a year that people will save if they have their houses properly insulated. So that will help them with their cost of living, but it'll also create jobs, and to help the environment. So
brilliant. So do you have a message for anyone who's on the fence about which way to vote next week?
Well, so I think been hearing for years that people want more authenticity in politics, and they want their politicians to be more authentic. So I would just say that I think, if that's what the public wants from politicians, then the public also needs to vote authentically. And so that's, I think, if you've got something that you believe in, if you've got a candidate who you think will genuinely be the best candidate for the area, the best MP for the area, then vote for that candidate. And thanks.
I've got just a couple of quick fire questions. So, where is your favourite place to go for a walk in the constituency?
Wow, I like walking from Beer to Branscombe.
Nice.
I like walking down the canal at Helberton.
Yes.
Nice. I like up at Hembury Fort is a nice spot. Just love that lovely panoramic view. Let me think. There's so many good places to go.
Yeah, there really is, isn't there?
Oh.
What about favourite place to go for a cream tea?
Cream tea. I had a nice cream tea at Helberton Farm Shop the other day.
Oh, they're really good, aren't they?
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Fabulous little farm shop too. The carrots and potatoes are phenomenal, as well as the cream tea.
Yeah, but where else? Well, I just got to put a shout out for the community waffle shop in Axminster. That's an amazing place.
I went there the other day.
Yes,
It was really
what
good.
an asset to the community.
So
I would like to
friendly.
see all of our towns have somewhere like that.
I thought that when I went
Yeah.
there, yeah. Really good. And if a VIP came to constituency, where's the first place you'd take them?
Who is this VIP?
Oh, I don't know. It could be Taylor Swift, or
Ooh.
it could be Keir Starmer, or it could be the Queen.
Or when you said Taylor Swift, I did think about the Hickory, but I have mentioned Helperton quite a few times. So hang on, let me just diversify a little bit from there. Yeah, maybe the Weary Traveller. That's a good meeting spot right in the middle of everything. Where would I take them? I would perhaps take them to the Lacemaker Cafe in Honiton. It's a little gem there on the high street, just a big up for the independent shopping.
Ones, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is your favourite fact about the constituency?
Ooh, well, I have to say that when I studied history at school, we learned about the penny lunches. So the penny lunch was invented in Roosden, in the south end of the constituency, and so that was where a sort of philanthropist had built a school for the local school children, and provided a sort of a school teacher, and they noticed that some of the children were going hungry, and so they started making a big sort of meal of porridge, or whatever it was. If you look at the menu, it was quite as scintillating as you might, it wasn't anything fancy. But yeah, I think all the local families used to pay a penny a week, and then that meant that their children get fed every day. So I just think I'm really proud that was invented here in the constituency.
That's really good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and take note, Conservative MPs, we need more free school lunches, because people are really literally going hungry.
Yeah. And if I go for £1,000 today, don't get excited because I don't have £1,000. Which charity would you donate it to, or split it between?
Ooh, I think it would have to go to, some of it's got to go to Chat.
Yeah.
Churches Housing Action Team here in Tiverton. Some of it's got to maybe go to Pippins in Axminster. Some of it has got to go to some of it's definitely got to go to the Honiton Community Use Building.
Yeah.
Ooh, and we're going to put a little bit, some of it towards the Tiverton Tree Team.
Yeah.
There's definitely, we've got Jake Bonetta is one of our Labour local councillors. He's in Honiton, the first ever Labour district councillor for Honiton, and he is very involved in the Honiton Food Save. So that's getting the food that's left over at the end of the day in the supermarkets and giving it away.
In Tiverton,
rerouted do it as well. So both of them can get a bit of money from me, with my £1,000. It's getting quite thin on the ground, isn't it? But yeah, I'm sure there's loads of others. But yeah, wonderful. Yeah,
brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming out here. We're at the Globe in Stamford Peveril, and it's been lovely talking to you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
thanks for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, bye.